Okay, I'm going to jump right in and do some exercises from SSLE, Solving Systems of Linear Equations. And I'm going to assume that you're familiar with the concepts and the competencies. In this video, we'll look at competency 1. And there are some other exercises for you to do. And I'm going to go ahead and do this first exercise here. So let me go back to my OneNote. And I'm going to, let's see where it is. I have to go here. And there should be a snipping tool. Screen clipping is here. I'm going to get this guy here. All right, so here's my system of equations. And I'm going to apply these operations down here one by one. And after I've done that, I should get a system of equations that I can solve. All right, so let me go ahead and start drawing. First of all, I'm going to rewrite the equations. So I have x1 minus 2x2 plus x3 equals 0. Now, it pays to be systematic here, even if you do a little bit of extra writing. Notice that this equation has no x1, but in order to keep my bookkeeping, I'm just going to write 0x1 here, just so that I keep things straight. Then I have plus 2x2, and then I have minus 8x3, and you need to be very careful about writing this. When I was preparing this video, I made a mistake, so I had to do the video all over again. All right, now this one has minus 4x1 plus 5x2 plus 9x3 equals minus 9. All right, so here are my three equations, and I can call these R1, R2, and R3. And we consider these as rows. Later on we'll put these equations into a matrix, and these will be rows of a matrix. So this is my original system of equations. Now I want to perform these operations one by one on this system, and I'll be able to solve for x1, x2, x3 after I've done the operations. Now, as it mentions in the text, these operations do not change the solutions of the system. They only change the form of the equations. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the first operation, which is 4r1 plus r3. All right, now, what this is going to do is it's going to replace r3 with the result of this algebraic computation. So in fact, I'll have the same system, except r3 will be different. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the first two equations. Let's see if I can leave enough. Did I leave enough space here? I didn't do that right. Let's try again. I think I got it. Okay. Go ahead and we copy, and then we paste, and move it over here. So the first two equations do not change. It's only the third equation that changes. So how does the third equation change? Well, let's go variable by variable. We have three variables, x1, x2, x3, and this algebraic operation works on each of these three variables separately. All right, so what does 4r1 plus r3 do to x1? Right. Well, here I'll have 4x1, and then I'll have minus 4x1 from the r3. All right, 4r1 plus r3 is going to give me 0x1. So that's the key to doing this systematically, is do it variable by variable. 4x1 minus 4x1 is equal to 0, so here I'm going to get 0x1. Right. That's called eliminating the variable x1. And you'll see that the point of these row operations is to eliminate variables. So once the variables are eliminated, then you can solve the equation more easily. All right, so that takes care of the x1. Let's look at x2. 4x1 plus 4r1 plus r3. If I apply a 4 to this equation r1, that's going to give me 4 times minus 2, or minus 8x2. Minus 8x2. All right, then I have plus r3. Plus r3 gives me plus 5x2. Minus 8 plus 5 is minus 3. Minus 3x2. All right, let's do the last one. 4r1 plus r3. 4 times x3 plus 9x3 gives me 13x3. Okay. Now I'm not done. I need to do the same operation on the right-hand side. 4 times 0 plus minus 9 is equal to minus 9. All right, so that's my new system. And notice that this system is a little bit simpler. I've replaced the minus 4x1 over here with a 0x1 over here, which is good. All right, so let's go on to the next operation. All right, next operation, if you look up here, the next operation is going to be 3/2 r2 plus r3. This is going to replace r3. So the first two equations are going to be exactly the same. So let me go ahead and copy my system of equations. Actually, I only want to copy the first two, because the third one is going to change. And I'll move it down here. Okay. Now, the third equation is now going to be 3/2 r2 plus r3. So how does that work? Well, let's go variable by variable again. Notice how the first variable both have 0, so I still have 0x1. Second variable, 3/2 times 2 gives me 3, minus 3 gives me 0. So notice we're getting zeros here, which is going to make it easier to solve. All right, now, then we have 3/2 times minus 8. Well, let's see, that's going to be, 3/2 times minus 8 is going to be minus 12. Minus 12 plus 13 is 1. Okay. Then here I have 3/2 times 8, which is 12 minus 9, which gives me a 3. Now notice something here. I already have, from this last equation, x2 equals 3, which is a good thing. At the beginning I could certainly not tell that, but at this point I know that x3 equals 3. Did I say x2 equals 3? x3 equals 3. Okay, so we can go on to the next step. So I've checked off this one, I've checked off this one. Let's look at the next one. 1/2 r2. Well, that's an easy fix because we're only changing r2. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all three of these. Move it there. And the only thing that's going to change are the coefficients of r2, which are going to be divided by 2. So this 2 will become a 1, this minus 8 will become a minus 4, and this 8 will become a 4. So I'm going to get 1, minus 4, and 4. And the operation here is r2 divided by 2, 1/2 r2. All right, so let me go ahead and erase those. This 2 becomes a 1, this minus 8 becomes a minus 4, and this 8 becomes a 4. So I'm going to put 1, 4, 4 in the three spaces that I erased there. 1, 4, and 4. All right, so that's my next system. So we've checked off this operation. Let's go to this operation now. 4r3 plus r2. All right, so that's my next guy, and I'm going to need some space. Okay, and we got that here. Okay. So this one, what did I say? 4r3 plus r2. Now in this case, this is going to replace the R2. You always replace the second one, or the one that has a coefficient of 1. So you're replacing the second one. Let's go ahead and copy my system. Oops, I blew that, so let's try again. Okay, and here we got this one. And we'll go ahead and now I want to erase this second equation, so let's get rid of that. Make sure I get the whole thing. And this is going to be replaced. Whoops, missed that one. I think I still missed it. Got to get all the way around it. Alright, so I'm going to replace R2 with 4R3 plus R2. So let's see how that works. Alright, so we're dealing with these two rows, R3 and R2. So if I look at the x1, I'm going to have 0, 0. That's still 0. Okay. Now let's look at the x2. 4R3 gives me 0 here, plus x2 gives me, plus R2 gives me 1x2. So here I have plus 1x2. Next one, here I have 4 times R3 is going to give me 4x3 here, minus 4x3, which gives me 0. Then finally here I have 4R3, which gives me a 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 4, which is 16. All right. Now let's go on to the next one. I finished this one here. All right, now let's look at the next one. Next one says minus 1R3 plus R1. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that. So let's copy this. We're going to be replacing R1 here. So that's minus R3 plus R1, and that replaces the R1. Let's go ahead and look at that. And I think I need more space. It's not letting me do it. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this guy. And I'm going to be replacing the R1, so I don't need to copy the R1, only the other ones. So here, let's go like this. And go around, make sure I don't get that. And make sure I do get that. I will copy that and then paste. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Let's click over here and then paste. How about that? And then I'm going to have to lasso this and do it again. Okay. All right, so minus R3 plus R1. And I need to get the R1 there because I didn't put the 1. And what do we have here? Well, let's do it one by one. If we look at the x1 coefficients, here I have 0, x1. So minus R3 is going to give me a 0, plus R1 is going to give me a 1. So I have 1 x1 here. Okay. Let's look at the x2. Minus R3 gives me a 0 here. Then plus R1 is going to give me a minus x2. So I'm not going to have a plus there. It's not undoing it, so let's get rid of that minus. It's going to be a minus. Minus 2x2. All right, then I have minus R3 plus R1 gives me minus x3 plus x3, which gives me plus 0x3. Okay. Then I have minus R3, which gives me minus 3, plus 1 gives me minus 3. All right. I think I have one more operation. Let's see what my last operation is. I have minus, so I finished this one. And my last operation is 2r2 plus r1. Okay, so let me copy again. All right, so here we have this. Now this is going to add to R1, so I need to get rid of R1. Just catch this, remove that. So the result of my computation is going to replace R1. Let's go ahead and look at that. So here I have 2r2 plus r1. So I have 2 times 0 plus 1, which gives me 1. Then I have 2 times x2 minus 2x2, which gives me 0. Then I have 2 times 0 plus 0 gives me 0. Then I have 2 times 16 minus 3. That's going to be 32 minus 3 or 29. All right, now if I remove all of the zeros, I simply get x1 equals 29, x2 equals 16, and x3 equals 3. All right. Now, these operations do not change the solution set for the system of equations, so this should be a solution to my original set of equations. All right, so I should be able to plug these numbers in to my original set of equations and make sure that it works. So let's go ahead and verify that. I'm going to go up here and copy my system of equations. Oops, I better not forget the minus there. That's important. So I'm going to copy my system. And let's see, and put it down here. Let's put it down here. All right. So I'm going to check. Okay. So let's try it. First I put x1, which is 29, minus 2x2, so that's going to be minus 2 times 16, and then plus x3 plus 3 equal to 0, and you can try your calculator and see that that works. 0x1 is going to be 0, plus 2x2, which is going to be plus 2 times 16, 2 times 16, minus 8x3, which is going to be minus 24, and that's going to be equal to 8, and that works. Last one, minus 4 times 29. I don't know why it's not working so well. Plus 5x2 is going to be plus 5 times 16, and then plus 9 times 3. And that's equal to minus 9, and certainly you want to use a calculator for that, and it turns out that that works. Okay, so just to review, all we did here was apply the row operations one by one. It's very computational, very easy to make an arithmetic mistake, so make sure you lay out your numbers systematically. Just go through and do them systematically. At the end, you should get a system where you can find out what x1, x2, and x3 are, and then go back and check that these numbers work in your original system. Okay, that's it.